I have my beautiful, gorgeous, talented, and lovely friend, Tanya Love. She is a healer. She is an artist, and she does healing art. All of her energy work goes into everything that she does. And I tell you what, it is phenomenal stuff. And today I want her to talk about everything that she's doing. And I want you all to be introduced to her because I feel like I just need to share her with all of you. And please share this video. And I'm so excited to be talking with you today. Tanya, how are you, love?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Yay. So first of all, you are an energy healer. Is that
yes
correct? Okay. And then
Yep.
you're also an artist.
Yes, I am.
And so can you tell us a little bit of your background before we actually get to leading up to how you became this phenomenal artist and healer that you are now?
Okay. Well, I was born in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and very quickly moved overseas to Germany. My family, I was born into a military family, so I was a military kid and pretty much spent most of my childhood traveling to different countries, and I lived all over the place. I've known what it feels like to be the minority and what it feels like to be, like, oh, there's just a bunch of Americans around me. And so I've lived all over the place. I've lived in places like England and Germany, Guam, Alaska. So did a lot of traveling, and I feel like it really has helped me as an adult to really understand how to be adaptable and not to be too attached to anything and to just really let life be the teacher. I just feel like life school is where we all have such an opportunity to grow and learn through experience. And I guess my soul really likes learning that way because I love to go on adventures and really learn firsthand from the adventure of life, not just read about it in a book. And I would say that the healing part of me, I've always, as a child, I was very empathic. I didn't know what that meant as a child. And so now I feel I really have a passion for helping parents understand empathic children and really understand the gift that they have living amongst them and to really treat them with honor rather than, tell them, oh, you're so sensitive and, what's wrong with you? I heard a lot of things growing up that caused me to really think that there was something wrong with me. And I was very shy as a child, and I feel like I observed everything. Very young, I would look out of the eyes of wisdom and understand things that adults around me didn't understand why I understood. And I always just kind of looked at them as, and this isn't an arrogance because I think some people can misunderstand, but I would look out of the eyes of like looking at the humans. And it wasn't like I didn't feel like I was one of them, but I knew that I was not really from here, if that makes sense.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, and so I feel like a lot of my life I felt very isolated and very alone, actually. And growing up in that environment taught me a lot, and I really learned from the contrast. And now where I'm at, I feel that I more attract, like, my angels have summoned a lot of people who are more, understand my soul, and I understand theirs, and I can help them, and it's more like the slow family that I've been calling out for. And as a child, I remember I grew up and I had a lot of abuse that I endured as a child, and I know, looking back, there was soul contracts, things that I was there to work out and to understand. And I was there to help these misaligned adults that were raising me, but they weren't really open to that coming from a child. And so I think that there's a lot we have to learn about the wisdom of a child, that this soul that comes in isn't necessarily ignorant. It could be very highly intelligent, and it's just in a little body. So I feel like there's a lot of room for education on that. But basically, I've always felt connected to my angels. Like as a child, when I would be going, having these terrible experiences with abuse and things that were really hurtful to my soul, I remember just talking to my angels and calling to them, and there was times I just begged them to take me home. Like, I was just kind of like, you made a mistake, I need to come home, you know. And so there was a lot of suffering in my childhood, and I feel like I really had to learn to adapt to be on this planet. And as I got older, I remember I went to see a healer probably in my 30s. I went, and this massage therapist was giving me a massage, and I was really asking questions to the universe about, you know, to understand who I was and what I was about. And I had this deep feeling that I was one with them, that I just felt I was an angel before. And I just felt like I understood them, and I communicated with my so-called invisible friends. But when I was little, I saw them often, and I was told that it was my imagination. And so lots of things that kind of shut down these gifts early on. Or I wouldn't say shut them down, but kind of just desensitized me to what was really there. And then as I started to awaken again, and I was going through a lot, basically the thing that kickstarted my awakening was my father's suicide. He died in 2001, and it was really painful for me, and it was really an interesting part of my life that I now look back on with such gratitude and reverence, because his death was it was just such a earth-shattering event that it literally shook me to my core. And I started to ask questions about everything, and I was angry. There was this like warrior in me that was awakening, and I say warrior because I really don't think it's bad when we have that anger start to come up. And it's not necessarily, well, I think it's all about what it's connected to. Like, you have to really understand yourself and understand, is this coming from fear, or is this anger coming from a deeper desire for truth? And so we have to really learn to feel and discern what anger is connected with. But with mine, it was, I really was kind of done being, you know, told what I should think and feel and do, and listening to all these misaligned humans around me telling me how to live my life. And there was just a lot of anger to the BS. Like, I feel like my inner radar was just on, and I just couldn't tolerate BS any longer. And so I really started asking a lot of questions, and my father was coming to me in meditations, and at first I was like, I'm either losing my mind or something really magical is happening, because he was coming to me, and I would see him at times. Sometimes I would just feel him. He would communicate with me through my inner knowing. Like, it was just like inner dialogue streaming in, which now I use all the time as a healer. I'm just tuning into the client's energy field, and their angels or their loved ones are there, and they're, you know, channeling messages through me. And I just can tell now that it's the difference between my thoughts and consciousness streaming in. And I've learned to trust that and not think I'm nuts anymore, because I'm not. But there was a time, and I think a lot of people, when they first are awakening and really realigning with their gifts, they go through a period of self-doubt, and where they're just kind of like, am I nuts? What is this? You know, I'm seeing auras, and what's happening? And so a lot of that stuff happened when my dad died, and, well, I should say when he transformed and went back into spirit. And he just has been such a guardian and spirit for me. And I started having all these other spirits coming to me, and I had to learn a lot about boundary setting. Realize that I don't have to be bombarded by these souls. I can kind of turn on my neon open sign, and then I can turn it off when I'm not available. And I've learned a lot really through experience. I really haven't had a lot of teachers tell me, or books that told me how to do anything. I feel like I've felt it and learned it all internally. And even now, like the workshops I teach and the energy healing that I'm helping assist with in these mentorships that I'm offering it's channeled in. I don't really claim or hold it. And there are books that have been really helpful that I've seen in my life, but for the most part, the wisdom's just coming in the now. And I feel that's what really we're all evolving towards, is to be present in the now and really allow the wisdom and the information that we're needing at any time to just bubble up and kind of be uploaded, if you will. Just like on our computers, we upload new software. We have the ability to upload information just like that. And that's basically what happened with me. So if we shoot ahead from 2001 to 2013, I had been in a marriage for 20 years, and it was pretty much, I went right from an abused childhood right into this relationship where I was treated kind of just, that same kind of abused child. And I just got to a point where I couldn't tolerate it any longer. And I felt like there was such a drive and a passion in my soul to lead, especially leading women. I'm open to, I feel grateful to lead male or female energy, but it seems that Spirit summoned many women to me that are really in need of stepping into their power. And I feel like I already went to battle, and I've already walked through that darkness, so I understand it very intimately. And now I can look back and have gratitude and realize all that was to serve in a higher purpose so that I would be able to help lead this shift and to really understand what all these souls are going through with compassion, not just, looking down at them like, don't you guys understand? Like, what's wrong with you? It's just, I feel like I went through it also. And so in 2013, I started having these really interesting wake-up calls in the morning, very early, like 3:33, 4:44. It was just interesting, lots of triple-digit numbers, waking up in the morning, and angels with messages calling me back and, telling me that I needed to remember who I was, and did I remember my soul mission. And it was really magical, but at the same time a little concerning again, because it was intense and they weren't easing off. They just kept coming. And I basically did a shamanic journey where I was also told I connected with Earth Mother, and I was reminded of my soul mission, that I was here to assist in leading a shift and leading my tribe in the awakening of consciousness. And when I came out of that shamanic journey, you could just think, oh, it's just your imagination. That was just kind of a weird thing that happened. But I love leading shamanic journeys now because they are so powerful when we're connecting to those unconscious places that we're not really paying attention to a lot of times. There's power there. And when we tune in and we connect and listen, it can really lead amazing shifts in our physical so-called reality. And so after that journey, I basically came back and I had this even stronger passion to lead the shift. And I just felt a confidence that I didn't understand where I was even coming from, but it was just confidence, I would call it. And I started really connecting with Archangel Ariel. She was really powerful in my shift. I've been with Michael my whole life. He's been like my best friend. And all of a sudden, Ariel introduced herself to me, and I realized years ago she was in my life as well. I just wasn't getting the signs and figuring it out. But when she came through, it was just like the lioness of God was in me, and I just felt this. I couldn't be silent any longer. It was time to let the world hear my roar, and I felt led to lead an angel gathering. That was a public event. I was told that it was important for me to lead this, and that there were earth angels that needed to see one of their own and understand that, they weren't alone. And I was basically there to encourage them as a human earth angel, to show them that it was safe to come out. It was safe to come back out of the shadow. And I kind of look at it like Star Wars, how, and I don't know if you've seen Star Wars, but like where the Jedi have to go into hiding for a while because the darkness is basically wanting to destroy them. Mm-hmm. And I feel that that's similar to what's happened with a lot of the earth angels. Like, there's been so much darkness and control and power struggles on this planet for thousands of years. And we're at this place where there's many souls that have come to the planet at this time to lead the shift, and we have to like clear our stuff. We have to clear all the past fear. Many of us have been killed before for, you know, standing in our power, and for